Hey everyone, I wanted to put a quick video together on what you would need from almost like a prerequisite requirement perspective to get started working with Codiac. It's two things, relatively straightforward, and the third one is probably optional if you want some type of home lab or something like that, or for your organization, of course. So let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, so the first thing that you're gonna wanna have is Docker Desktop. So Docker will be running locally. Why? Well, if we just go over to Docker really quick, notice how I have this Kodiak relay container running, okay? So this is like the brains of the operation. When you're working with the Codiac CLI and when you're running commands, everything is going through the container into your environment. So this is again like the brains of the operation. This is the control plane, so to speak, but it's sitting local, which is fine because there's no persistent data being stored locally or anything. It's literally just sending the data to Kodiak. Kodiak is a SaaS-based platform, so everything is stored via Kodiak, but the brains of the operation, like the commands and all the control plane components, are being sent from this container. And then the second thing that you're going to want is Node.js, primarily not because you need to know JavaScript or anything like that, but to install the Kodiak CLI, you will need NPM. NPM is the package manager for JavaScript. So the Kodiak CLI is installed via NPM. And that's pretty basic. You know, you may already even have it installed. Docker, if you're doing anything in the container and Docker and Kubernetes space, you might already have this installed as well. No big deal. One thing that I will just point out though, go back to Docker, and it's totally fine. It still works. But notice how the container image is built via the AMD 64 architecture. I'm on a Mac M1, so I'm utilizing an ARM-based architecture, but it still works locally, so everything's all good there. The third thing, and this is voluntary, is an AWS environment, or you could even have an Azure environment, but in this case, I'm just showcasing AWS. So if you want to deploy clusters via Kodiak and you want to get environments set up and running and everything inside of Kodiak, you're going to want a cloud-based system like Azure or AWS. But if you're working somewhere that you already have AWS or Azure, obviously you would be using that for production level use cases as well. But if you just want to try out Kodiak, you can use the AWS free tier, for example. And I think you also get X amount of credits. I forget how many it is, but you can use the free tier to get a really small EKS cluster up and running and save yourself some money. So 3 things, well, technically 2, Docker Desktop, Node, and if you want, free tier AWS account.